hepatitis C. I was just recently cured myself, and I'm here with my son, Carleen, who's 9. And we feel like the drugs that I took that cured me and have saved my life were a bargain, considering the fact that my husband used to have to just, stay home from work and take care of me, and he has his own business, so that really affected our whole community. So we're really thankful for those drugs. However, the drugs are there, and yet we aren't getting them to patients because of a lack of funding through our federal government. For instance, HIV got $34 billion in their budget. We got $34 million. In the state of Colorado, if you have HIV, you get free housing, free health care, free nutrition, free medicine, rides back and forth to your doctor's appointments. If you have HCV, hepatitis C, you get absolutely nothing, not even a confirmatory test to confirm whether or not you indeed have the virus. So for every $100 that the federal government gives to HIV, it gives 3, and some people think that estimate is high, to HCV. And in the state of Colorado, 90% of Coloradans that have Hep C have yet to be treated. So we have a huge problem. We need more funding for hepatitis C. We have these great innovative drugs, and yet 75% of people with Hep C don't know that they have it. And so even though the CDC has recommended that everybody, all baby boomers be tested, it's not happening. And we need more funding. In the state of Colorado, we get $95,000 for the entire year, and that has to pay for our viral hepatitis coordinator's salary, as well as any advertising and promotional kind of things that he does in the state of Colorado. So what would you say about that? We have these great life-saving drugs, and yet we're not getting them to people because we just don't have enough money. We don't have funding, and we're more virulent than HIV. We've surpassed deaths of HIV. We're more contagious than HIV. It's just we're much worse. We're actually related to the Zika virus. So, Hep C needs to be addressed in the United States. We need to get this medicine in the hands of people. It's a good investment for us to do it now rather than wait until people are cirrhotic or in hospice.
You've raised actually 2 very different situations, okay, that reinforce each other. The first is, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have the right funding mechanisms to make it desirable to have decisive interventions that actually save huge amounts of money. So the insurance company goes, well, you're not going to be really that sick this year. So maybe by the time you get that sick, you'll be with some other insurance company. Well, that whole model is crazy. And of course, Medicaid is equally bad. State health insurance program is equally bad. It's a whole mindset that has a kind of budget connected to it that's irrational in the long run. It would be like saying, we're going to score replacing car engines as 0, but we're going to charge you for putting in oil. So we're building an incentive that you should never change the oil in your car, because after all, when the engine freezes up, we can just give you a new engine. Now, it's economically insane, but that's what these budget rules are like. So that's part A. Part B is, the HIV/AIDS example is the only time you have seen people in the modern era, post-1960s, once we bureaucratized and politicized this stuff. You go back and you look at, there's a great book on polio vaccine, and you go back and look at polio vaccine, which, remember, was tested by giving it to himself and his family. And the following year was tested by asking for volunteers to show up. And the following year, they gave it to the whole country. Now try that out in the FDA. That's how the polio vaccine came through. Because polio was a real enough and vivid enough threat that people wanted to take the risk to get it fast. All right? The next big breakthrough is HIV/AIDS, and that's because there is a politically energized constituency. It makes so much noise that the politicians can't stand it. Now,
well, how can we make that kind of noise? How can we make that kind of impact? That's,
well, you live in a world of social media. Reach out and find every person who's Hep C.
Well, we're not able to do that, so the federal government needs to make those decisions, despite the fact that we don't have that.
Then why not wait? Okay, you just contradicted everything I said. Nobody with HIV/AIDS sat around and said, oh, gee, CDC won't do this, and NIH won't do this, I guess we're hopeless. They said, we're gonna come and kick in your door and embarrass you and humiliate you.
Oh, I mean, that's my plan B. This is plan A, to come to these kinds of events and speak kindly, but, you know, I've
Go to Plan B.
considered,
But because Plan B is pretty straightforward. We live in a world of social media where if you set out to voluntarily find people willing to say, yes, I have hepatitis C, and I'm sick and tired of not being treated, you would be shocked how rapidly you'd accumulate people. And you accumulate enough of those people, and you announce that Thursday, the 4th of September, I made the date up, is going to be Hepatitis C Day, and all of us are going to go and see our congressmen, our senators, and raise hell with them, because we're sick and tired of the system so stupid that it doesn't want to take care of us until we're really sick. Now, at that point, when you aggregate enough people doing it, the news media pays attention, because in its own mindless way, large enough numbers count. And then when the news media pays attention, more people come on your website, because they now know you're there. And then presently, your congressman doesn't want to go home unless they vote yes on your idea. I mean, this is how America works. It took the HIV/AIDS activist, I think, 5 years. But that's how America works. And it's not that it's the most rational system in the world, but it's stunningly effective.
I want to be mindful of the schedule for the rest of the day. Let me thank Speaker Gingrich and Governor Dean for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here. I think they're going to stick around for a couple minutes afterwards. Best of luck on the Hill tomorrow. We look forward to hearing your feedback.